What's up, everyone? My name is Gilbert, and you're watching Trucking with G. What's up, everyone? It is June 2023, and right here we're picking up a load at Maersk, also known as APM, and it's going to be an empty in, load out. Let's go. Right here's the scanners. Got a bunch of cameras and lights. They record your license plate, truck number, container number, chassis number, so that way by the time you go check in, they already know what you're there for. Then once you get past those scanners, you go right here. This whole area will be full of trucks sometimes, usually when they're busy. And man, it could take anywhere from like 1 to 2 hours just to get in the port. And if you're not paying attention and the truck ahead of you moves forward, whoever's on the side of you will swoop on in and cut in front of you. And that's happened to me plenty of times. I'll be like, damn. And then right here between these K-rails is where you're supposed to get out the truck and unlock your chassis, but I didn't record myself doing that. But I did it, don't worry. Now I'm pulling up to the pedestal. Hopefully both tickets print out. One for my empty container in, the other one for the load out. And both locations are gonna be in automation. Hell yeah. Us port truckers love automation because it's the quickest. We don't have to worry about a crane operator or them going on brakes, even though recently, even though it's automated, the machines have been frozen whenever they go on brakes. But that only happened for a little while. Seems like they're all up and running now, like nonstop. So thank God for that. And right here, all this brand new construction, they're making this whole section automated. It's crazy because up until like last year, before they started doing all this construction, it was only like half of the port that was automated. Now it's like they're up to like 75% of the port that'll be automated after they finish this. That's crazy. And automation has been the main issue that the ILWU, the longshoremen that work at the Long Beach ports, and the PMA, which is like the company that owns the ports, they just been going at it, and the main issue has been about automation because it's been eliminating jobs. And it really is a touchy subject because a lot of the times they don't treat us with respect. They talk down to us. You know, they treat us like we're dumb, and it's like, man, you know, we get stuck when you guys go to shift change. We get stuck when you guys go to lunch, and it's not like a 30-minute break. You guys have a full hour plus. Takes you 15 minutes to get to, then you take your full hour, and then another 15 minutes to get back. So like for us, we're just sitting there waiting for a full hour and a half, and we're just stuck on our truck. We're not allowed to get out of our truck. There's no restroom, and we can't just go and get something to eat. You always got to have food in the truck, and yeah, I ain't gonna lie, it's rough sometimes. But on the other hand too, though, I get where the longshoremen are coming from. You know, it's a dangerous job, and a lot of people have died working at the ports, and especially COVID, you know, they went through a lot of crap. I mean, we all did. Us truck drivers too, like we didn't take no days off. We were out here working, and you know, we go hand in hand. Like they can't operate without us drivers, and us drivers can't operate without the longshoremen, you know, to giving us loads. But you know, there just has to be some kind of compromise, and we all gotta get along at the end of the day. And I do really wish the best for all of them. I hope they get what they want in that contract. I hope they get it signed, and then we can get back to business as usual, finally. Anyways, the clerk back there gave me my lane location where I gotta get my empty taken off and then my load put on. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this little quick halfway blindside back. And blindside back, for those of you that don't know, that means that you're bending your trailer into the direction that you can't see, which is the passenger side. And all we have is that little tiny ass mirror to look at, and we could barely see anything. Really, it was kind of like we're just guessing, but that's where experience comes in. You know, you got to know what you're doing. You got to have done that before. The more times you do it, the easier it gets. Now, I ain't the best at doing this, but, you know, I've done it so many times to where it's like, you know, I might not get it the first try, but I'll do a couple pull-ups until I finally get it and then just back it straight in there. Doing these blindside backs right here at APM is not so bad because your spot that you're backing into is already diagonal. So it's really like you're doing a 45 rather than a full blindside back, which would be like a 90, to where your truck and your trailer is bent into a L shape. And when that happens, your mirrors are pretty much like just looking at the side of your trailer to where you can't even see where your trailer tires are. So you gotta like back up a few feet, pull your brakes, get out the driver's seat, go over to the passenger side, stick your head out the window, see where your tires are, and then get back in the driver's seat, move back a couple more feet, and then same thing until you're finally in a position where your trailer and your truck are straight, and then you can just do a regular, just straight back all the way. All right, cool. I'm all the way in. Got about the same space on each side. All right, once you're backed in all the way, you pull your brakes, get out the truck, and then you stand right here. It's like a pad that you stand on that senses your weight. And it's like for safety reasons. If you're not standing on the pad, then the machine won't service you. So just make sure you're standing on the pad. All right, the first machine came super quick. It's gonna take off my empty, and then it'll go take it somewhere else to go store it until it's ready to be loaded on a ship. Yeah, sometimes you could be right here just waiting for a long ass time because they'll either be like system errors or their computer system will be frozen, and then all the machines will just stay stuck, not moving. And then we'll have to like push the button on the intercom, talk to somebody like, hey, what's going on? Can I get a status update? And then they'll just let you know like, oh yeah, the system's down right now, or technical difficulties, or it'll just be like your machine that's just frozen, but all the other machines are moving. But they usually get it cleared up. Sometimes it just takes a little longer. It does suck though when there's a gang of trucks, just a full long ass line of trucks trying to get into automation. And that could be like another 1 or 2 hours just waiting in line just to get over here where all the robots are. But lately, for the most part, since it's been slow, we've been able to get in and out within like 30 to 60 minutes. So it's been really nice. I follow this group on Facebook called La&longbeachportdrivers, and sometimes they post pictures and videos of trucks going to automation and the machine just lifting the truck all the way up in the air because the driver forgot to unlock the pins on the chassis. So not only does picking up the container lift up the chassis, but the chassis is connected to the truck, so it lifts up the whole damn truck too. Man, what a nightmare that would be. Hell yeah, on this load, my load came quick. Probably about 5 minutes in between from the other machine taking off my empty to this machine coming with my load. And sometimes you really gotta pay attention because they'll bring the container facing the wrong way, where the doors are facing towards the front of the truck instead of towards the back. And if you pick it up like that and go deliver it, the customer's not going to be able to unload it because the doors are on the wrong side. So you got to make sure you're paying attention. If that happens, push that button on the intercom, talk to a clerk, and then they'll have the machine flip it around so it's facing the right way. By the way, if you're watching this and you're a truck driver, tell me, what do you haul? Leave it in the comments below. And if you're not a truck driver, what do you do for a living? Let me know. It has definitely been a hell of a year for us truck drivers. I know the economy's been bad for everybody, but I feel like the trucking industry's been hit the worst. We went from having 2 loads a day to only 1 load a day, and sometimes only 3 days a week. So yeah, it's been really bad. A lot of companies been going out of business, from your mega carriers to small companies with 1 or 2 trucks. Yeah, it's just been really bad. Once it drops a container all the way down, you want to pay close attention to make sure that it's all the way set, because sometimes it'll be sitting on top of the pins, and if you take off driving like that, you make a turn, that container could just fall off the chassis, and you don't want that. So all you got to do is just press that button on the intercom, talk to a clerk, and then they'll have the machine come back and make sure that it's set the right way, sitting on top of the chassis. So like I said earlier, this economy's been rough. It's been horrible. It's been the worst year. They say it's been worse than the Great Recession back in 2008. Definitely crazy, definitely depressing, definitely sad for a lot of people losing their jobs, getting laid off. Bunch of owner operators with 1 or 2 trucks having to sell their trucks just because they're not getting enough revenue to pay their expenses. If that's you, let me know. What'd you have to do? Are you still in the game? Did you become a company driver? Or did you get completely out of the industry? And voila, open sesame. Gates open as soon as you're done getting loaded. Now you can go in and lock all the 4 corners of your chassis. Usually you're supposed to wait until you get to the exit gate and then park in between the K-rails where it's safe, and then lock all the corners. But in automation, you could just do it right here because it's a safe and secure area. And don't forget to have your gloves on, because if that grease gets on your fingers, man, it's hard to get off. And you don't want it to be getting on your steering wheel. Now I'm just taking a picture of that seal, so that way when I get back in the truck, I could write it down on my paperwork, which is a POD, proof of delivery. When you get to the customer to deliver, they'll check your seal on the paperwork and then make sure it matches the seal on the truck, on the trailer, or in this case, the container. Now this log right here, I had a Mickey Mouse it because it didn't have a little lever to keep it in place. So I just put a wire, and man, it wouldn't go in, it was stuck. I ended up just grabbing a hammer and hitting it back in. I just didn't record myself getting the hammer. Oh well. So right here, finally about to leave, and then I see this long ass line. I was like, oh crap. But it was just another truck up ahead trying to back into its lane. But sometimes when you're trying to exit this place, it'll be a super long line because they're either on break or shift change. Break meaning they went to lunch, or they're just changing shifts from first shift to second shift. Their lunch break, they leave at 11:45 a.m., then clock out at 12, have a whole hour lunch, come back at 1, then they don't start working until about 1:15. Now that freaking sucks. But it's not so bad when they do a shift change, because they'll leave at like 4:45, and then clock out 5 o'clock, the next crew comes in, and then they start around like 5:15. So it's really only like a half hour that we gotta wait. So yeah, don't want to get stuck in here for lunch, but if you do, make sure you're with a good company that pays waiting time. Most companies pay first 2 hours free, and then anywhere from like 30 to 50 bucks an hour. And right here is the flip section, and then right next to it is the wheeled section. And basically what happens is, if you already have a chassis that it's owned by your company that you're hauling for, you can't just drop that chassis at the port. You got to keep it. So what you'll do is go to the flip, hand your ticket to the clerk, then they'll have a yard hostler or a yard jockey go and grab your container that's already on chassis, bring it to the flip, then the forklift driver will take that container off of that chassis, and then he'll put it on your chassis. And then you could go to the exit gate, lock all your corners, and then start driving and deliver. Man, I sure do say "and then" a lot. All right, right here to the left, this is all the chassis all stacked up. Man, last year in 2022, they wouldn't let us use their chassis, saying, "Oh no, we're not releasing chassis today." And then every port company had to just buy their own chassis. And then a little while after that, a couple months later, business slowed down dramatically, and the port ended up getting all their chassis back because it was only empty containers coming back in, but there's no loads to put on top of those chassis. And plus, all the companies own their own chassis now. So it's like all the ports just got overloaded with a gang of chassis that they have no use for. Man, can't believe that. Now, as we get closer and closer towards the exit, to the right is pretty much like the canal where all the ships come, and then they pretty much dock and get unloaded by the gigantic cranes over there. Now, if you're bobtail, meaning truck only and no chassis or no container, then you would go to the right, and that would just be for bobtails only, to where they got K-rails set up to where you wouldn't be able to drive through there with a trailer, or else you would get stuck. So you have to be bobtail right there. And then everyone else has to go right here, called roadability, where they got mechanics that they specialize in just checking the chassis, making sure all the lights, the mud flaps, the tires, everything's good. They check the BIT, and that's pretty much the inspection for the chassis. And then they check the PM service, making sure it's up to date, making sure it has the oil, making sure everything's, fixed and no damages are on the chassis. And yeah, most of the time we're like, please don't let nothing be wrong with my chassis. Just let us out. But yeah, it just depends. Sometimes there'll be just a bunch of chassis that need work, and you'll just be waiting in this line forever. But other times it'll be like all the chassis are good, and you just keep on moving right along. But they only check the chassis that belong to the port. If you have a own chassis, then they'll just wave you on and keep going, because they don't work on anything except for port chassis. If you got a flat tire or any of your lights are not working, then you could either just tell them, or they'll spot it, and then they'll just fix it right here in this lane. But if your chassis needs a PM, or if it needs a BIT inspection, then they'll have you go to the secondary mechanic and then wait in line. Once it's your turn, they'll tell you what bay to back into, and then they'll go ahead and do the inspection or the PM service right there. All right, now it's my turn. Hopefully they just wave me by. Hopefully my chassis is good. Hopefully I don't need a BIT inspection, PM service. I know my mud flaps are there. I know my lights are good. My tires are good. So they should just wave me by. And I'm good. They gave me the wave. Keep going. So I was like, hell yeah. Now I could go exit and deliver this load. And then right here, going through these scanners again at the exit. Got a bunch of lights and cameras. They'll get your license, your truck number, container number, chassis number, the chassis license plate number, making sure everything's good and updated in their system of what was taken out of the port. Now right here is like the first initial checkpoint for Border Patrol and Customs. You go through this gate, first arm lifts up with the green light. Then the second arm, if you get a flashing blue light, then you gotta go to secondary customs inspection. And if you get a green light, then you can just go. And we got a green light, hell yeah. Look at this guy trying to race me. Come on, dog, you cheated. Just playing. He's just fucking trying to hurry up and get to his next stop. More loads, more money. All right, almost there. Last spot before the exit is the K-rails. This is where the designated section is to lock your chassis on all four corners. Make sure your container is secure to your chassis. That way it doesn't flip over whenever you make a turn. But I already locked all my corners because I was in a secure area when I was in automation. And right here, we're just hoping for that arm to lift up. Everything goes smooth. And bam, we're gone. We are free to go. Let's go deliver this load now. Once I'm at this point, I got my load, I'm exited, I'm free, and then I get to enjoy this beautiful view right here. We got all the ships in the ocean waiting to be docked at the port to get unloaded. Or there's other ships like tanker ships, oil ships, they're waiting to get unloaded or loaded. And then we just got this beautiful view. We got the whole view of this big ass port, APM, also known as Maersk. And yeah, honestly, this is probably my favorite port. Not only is it automated, which is easier for us drivers. We don't have to worry about the crane operator going on lunch or having a bad day, having a bad attitude, or skipping you. Sometimes we'll be waiting for a long time, and then other trucks that get there after you, for whatever reason, the crane will load them first. And it's like, man, what the hell? But that's port life. Yeah, but anyways, look at that beautiful view. This is where all the ships wait. It's crazy to think that it takes 30 days for a ship to come from China to over here. Probably another 30 more days to go all the way to the East Coast, because they got to go all the way down between North America and South America to the Suez Canal just to get to the East Coast. Well, all right, everyone, that's the end of this video. If you made it all the way to the end, I appreciate you watching. If you liked it, please do me a favor and give me a like. Go ahead and comment and subscribe, and I'll be bringing you more fire content soon. All right, see you on the next one.